there's some Revelator songs that I'm like, man, we got to bring those back. But we've done so many songs and albums. There's like so much to choose from that I guess we don't think about it all the time.
We need to get you a really good slide player in Nashville, and you guys need to cover a Derek Trucks song.
You know, he told me Susan wrote the song, which he was proud of. He said that with great pride, you know, the way you say nice things about your family.
From the first note with Tedeschi Trucks, they just blow you away.
Yes, we will. I wouldn't argue with anyone that says that could be my favorite song on I Am the Moon.
He, signs my ticket, and I look over at Susan. I say, Susan, would you sign it too? And she goes, oh, heck yeah.
Kevin calls me and was like, hey, man, what are you doing? I was like, nothing. He was like, Derek wants to record some tuba stuff. I said, when do you want to do it? And he was like, let's do it Wednesday.
It was Midnight Harlem. And it caught our attention, man. And we started diving deep, and we're like, okay, we got to see these guys.
What's up? Welcome to the unofficial Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is episode number 132, and I am Adam Choi. To follow this show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram, and on YouTube, it's Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. If you're watching, you are there already, so please be sure to subscribe, give the show likes, shares, all that stuff is definitely appreciated. I am at Adam Choi on Instagram and Twitter. Tedeschi Trucks Podcast.com will get you to all things relevant to this show, social media, the band stuff, ways to listen, all that stuff is at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast.com. Adam Choit for all my personal stuff. I'm not going to ramble too much longer because I want to get into today's recap. And we have some guests joining us to recap the second part of the Garden Party show, TTB's The Garden Party, at MSG. With Lucas Nelson, Nora Jones, Trey Anastasio, special guests, and it was super amazing. And I did catch pretty much the entire show, almost all of it, on Mixlr. Is it Mixlr or Mixlr? One of these days, I'm going to find that information out for sure. But yeah, it was super amazing. I caught pretty much everything, and I want to bring in some hardcore TTB fans who were there in attendance last night. I was not. We're going to bring in John Guth, Rich Barnard, and I'm going to say his name wrong. I probably said Guth wrong too, but Jai, Seth. I'm sure they can clarify how their names are said and spelled and all that stuff if they'd like when they join me. And I think we will have David Flamm as well joining us shortly. There he is in the comments. But let's bring in John, Rich, and Jai Seth to recap last night. How we doing, everybody?
We're good.
Good.
What's up, man?
Oh,
hey,
good
Adam.
to connect. Tell me, Jai Seth, hi Seth. What do you go by? How do you say it? Who
Jay.
are you? Jay.
Yeah.
That was where I was gonna go.
Close enough, dude. It's all good.
Yeah, we are literally connecting live on the digital airwaves right now. So that's cool in itself. Like I said, it's a reality show.
Good to be here, man.
Thank you. And John, we just met momentarily a few moments ago. So why don't we start with John and then go to Jay, and then we'll go to Rich, and just you guys can catch me up fairly quickly about how you got connected to TTB and found this band and how far you go back with Susan and Derek, and then we'll get into the day leading up to the show, because we're going to have to probably do a weather report before we even step into the arena and recap the show itself. But let's start with John. Tell me about a little bit about your musical background and how you got to TTB.
Sure. Well, I guess I'd say I'm an ex-hippie. Still kind of a hippie. Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, my musical sensibilities.
Did we just freeze there? Did everybody?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I think we're back now.
Oh, okay, cool. I mean, my musical sensibilities are sort of grounded in, mostly jam bands, R&B, Americana-based roots music. Yeah, the Grateful Dead and Widespread Panic and some reggae and jazz and blues, of course. And so I was a big Allman Brothers fan, saw them many, many times. And so when a buddy of mine said, you got to go see this band, the Tedeschi Trucks Band, I of course knew who Derek's Trucks was from the Allman Brothers. And I'd kind of heard about Susan, knew her from a little bit of her just solo blues career. But I really was like, they were like off my radar for a while, and I didn't realize that they had put this project together. And around late 2014, early 2015, a good friend of mine who went to University of Rochester with Tim LaFave, they were fraternity brothers, as a matter of fact. And so that's how I got pulled in. My buddy Eric was like, we got to go see Tim. You got to go see my buddy Tim play bass for the Tedeschi Trucks Band. And so we went to the Warner Theater. The first show was one of the Warner runs in February, I think, of 15 or something. And, I was indoctrinated. It was, blown away musically, seeing Derek, 12-piece band, Kofi, all of them. And the cool part was, of course, having the connection to the band through Tim. We were fortunate enough to be able to come down after the show downstairs and kind of the after party, and meet Susan and Derek and the rest of the band and hang out with Tim and all them. And they were just the coolest, most down to earth, musicians I had ever really met. And so we were talking football and Jaguars and Ravens and all that stuff for the first time. It was just such a memorable evening. And I just, since then, the rest is kind of history. I'll kind of cut it off there for now, but I've since that time seen them about 30. I think the MSG show was 31, was show 31 for me. So I try to catch them, 3-4 times a year. Warner, Beacon. I've seen them in Philly. Wolf Trap, of course. They've played in Baltimore at Pier 6 Pavilion, Wheels of Soul. Really, whenever I can. So that's kind of my background with the band. I've had the opportunity to meet some of the band members and hang out with them at other venues. After the Beacon shows at the Ale House, the Amsterdam Ale House, where they used to pop in every now and then. And it was great because when Tim was in the band, he would be gracious enough to, even if I wasn't with our mutual friend, he would bring us backstage sometimes and let us hang and talk with the band after the show. And so a number of times, just kind of being a little bit connected to the band and having some pretty deep, meaningful conversations with them. One was, after Greg Allman had passed, and just being in Philly backstage talking with them about that. I mean, it was like a couple of weeks after Greg had passed, and that was also pretty special. So anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Oh, you're on mute.
Adam, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, there we go. We're good now. You didn't miss much. All I just said was thank you for sharing that. I appreciate all that. It just makes it for a better fan experience for me, just to get to know people who are just hardcore fans and have been into this music so deeply, going so far back. And everyone, like I keep saying, echoes the same sentiments that this is like the most down-to-earth band, or one of the most down-to-earth band, or it pretty much is. And I guess it's not just us being biased, because we love the music so much. They actually are this way. It seems like it's just consensus from everyone who's had personal experiences, whether it's just meeting them in passing after a show to get a quick autograph or picture, or had deep, meaningful conversations. It's so cool that they, and Tim in this case especially, included you and just included you into their world. And because this is a 12-piece band, and because they've had, a few different lineup changes over the years, that can be looked at as a good thing, because in some regard, it's probably introducing all kinds of fans from all different places, you know, as a way to discover like this music? Like you came in maybe through Tim, even though you knew Derek and Susan previously, but you kind of got back into it through Tim, and other people come in through maybe their love for one of the instruments or vocalists or their drummer, and like who finds this powerhouse band with 2 drums. But now I'm ranting. So let's go to Jay, and you tell me about how you got into this whole crazy Swamp Family universe.
Yeah, it's a little bit blurry, but so I grew up in India. I moved to US in 2014, and growing up, I used to listen to like a lot of the classic rock stuff. And one of my first concerts was Roger Waters was doing a tour in India. So listened to a lot of that stuff, but I like to say like I wasn't serious about it. I really started digging in when we maybe more in college, and for some reason, I remember sometime in college, I was like, I really want to like start exploring the blues. So I went down that rabbit hole a little bit. Obviously, pretty quickly, you're going to run up into Allman Brothers. And one of the first things I discovered was the Fillmore East album. And I was basically in, right, instantly. And I'd always been into live music. So I started looking up live videos of Allman Brothers. And, you know, most of it's going to be from the Derek era, given that 2000s when live videos were getting better production, all that kind of stuff. And I think it was first note, I was like, this is different. I just want to dig in, and I was all in basically.
Do you play music, guitar, anything like that? Did you say?
A little bit here and there. I'll play the guitar, acoustic guitar a little bit. I wouldn't be far from a musician for sure, but when no one's around, I'll strum around.
Where are you right now?
I'm in New York right now, but I live in Baltimore.
Okay, and how many times did you say you saw it or seen? Was that
this must have been like 12, 13 maybe?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You've been in it for a while.
Yeah.
Not that means whether someone is or has, but like
I think
it gives you an idea.
I discovered them right after album 2, so Made Up Mind.
And John, you said you've seen them, God knows how many times it sounded like. And just to give people a frame of reference, you are literally in a parked car in Manhattan still right now.
Yeah.
And you live where normally?
I'm also Baltimore. So the Maryland,
nice.
Maryland, Baltimore,
Maryland.
TTB fandom is strong for this podcast.
It is.
Right, and Rich is also back in Maryland too. Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Where you
nice.
live?
Whitehall, not far from Moncton. Yeah.
Oh, Whitehall, sure.
Looks nice. I like the green grass behind you. Rich, why don't you recap us and tell us how you got into this crazy world too?
Well, I was an old Deadhead way back in the day. Back when in college days, so like, hey, the Dead's playing in Cincinnati tomorrow night. Do you want to go? They're like, yeah. And gas was $29.9 or whatever it was, and off we go for our $4 tickets, and that was that. And then I kind of got away from the Dead. I got more into Little Feat for a good long while. Saw them many, many times. Lowell George is still one of my favorites. Let's put it that way. And then I first saw Derek. A friend of mine said, you need to go down to see Derek at 8x10 here in Baltimore. That was in 2003. And I was just blown away by the tones and the sounds that were coming from that guitar. That just blew me away. It really did. Yeah. And there was this beautiful blonde woman standing there at stage left, I think, and that's Susan. So after that, I kind of lost touch. I had babies, I had young kids, sports and scouts in school, all that kind of stuff. Concert life was a little bit, and work was a little bit hard to get away. But then I saw him again in Hot August Blues at Oregon Ridge Park in 2011.
Right.
And that kind of really got me going. So been kind of off and on since then.
It's like the music can always be there for you when you need it, if you really need it to fall back on it in some regards, emotionally, spiritually, soulfully, whatever it is, like just the need for it. It's always kind of like, it's nice knowing that you have that there. You can always listen to music, or you can, of course, get back into going concerts when life allows it. I like that we got the nature sounds from Rich and we got the city sounds from John. It's a nice tapestry of TTB fandom from all over the
garden
north.
Parties in MSG. There you go.
Right.
Yesterday I picked, my daughter goes to the University of Delaware, so I drove to Newark, Delaware, picked her up. We drove to the Wilmington train station, took the train up to Penn Station, had a bite of pizza and a Guinness or two, walked over, and saw the show, and then hopped on the 12:20 and got back about 3 o'clock to Wilmington.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's
Yeah,
been
why
a
don't you get
day.
long? Yeah, why don't John and Jay, you guys can tell me about your journeys to MSG as well, and then we'll get into the poster and the storm. They didn't play the storm, but
so the I know some of the trains were some of the commuter trains. My buddy coming in from northern New Jersey had to be rerouted. And Rich, did you get affected by that coming in at all? Or
Amtrak was no big deal.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. It's funny. I went to the University of Delaware, so we've got that in common as well.
There you go.
Yeah. I drove up, so I didn't want to deal with afternoon trying to get into the city in the late afternoon. The Amtrak from Baltimore is a little pricey. I drove, which I typically do, and I got up here around noon. Didn't really even have much of a problem. Hit some traffic once I got into the city, but got my car into a garage and waited for my buddies, and we all met up. So not a whole lot of trouble for us getting to the show or anything. We had dinner and sort of pre-gamed a little bit at this place called Bourbon and Branch, which is a pretty good place, like a block from the Garden, and so pretty easy.
It's easy.
Considered.
I mean, it's easy.
Yeah.
Even for me.
Yeah, it was pretty easy for me too. I mean, I come up to the city quite often. I have a bunch of friends here, so I drove up actually Thursday night, and it's funny. Like I left post work, maybe 6 p.m. from Baltimore. I was in the city in 3 hours. It was shocking. There's no traffic on the road. Yeah, wow. I honestly, like a couple times I was driving and being like, I should check my maps. Like, am I going somewhere wrong? It doesn't make sense. There's no traffic. There was no traffic on the tunnel. There was no traffic anywhere on the 95. I was just like, okay.
People got scared. People got scared by the storm. Maybe Jeff Fink is commenting here. The storm lurks. Storm is raging. Troubles on its way. Cars are floating down the West Highway. Fires burning in my neighborhood. Waters rising. I thought it never would.
It wasn't on my radar at all. And like Friday, I woke up and it was just like coming down, and I was like, wow, this is a lot of rain. And they were saying like 4 inches, 5 inches. And then there were some whispers like, oh, is the show going to get canceled?
There were perhaps more than whispers I saw. So I imagine there were some stressful people and some stressful times yesterday, but it all seemed to work out in the end.
Yeah.
It's incredible. They actually filled the arena. I couldn't believe it. I mean, with the weather, the way it turned out. And I mean, you looked up in the rafters. I mean, we can get to this later, but the Garden was like almost full. Like, I think it could have been close to a sellout. It was, you didn't see very many empty seats. I mean, it was amazing.
I was down in 105 and there were really no empty seats.
It was, yeah.
I wonder if we know what the attendance perhaps was.
I looked this up, and the Garden holds, I think, 19.5. I think that might be for sporting events. I'm not sure. You know, it's going to be a little less for concerts, but it's probably not a whole lot less because, of course, you have the floor, which you don't have for games, and so I mean, it felt like it was north of 17,000. I would think
16 is the number that I had in mind.
I would say 90% full.
Yeah,
I was gonna say 90-ish. Yeah.
It was awesome.
Right. It sounds like there were like over 16,000 people there. I mean, and taking into consideration, because there's a lot of people on the floor also. They may not be filling behind the stage or all the way up to the tippy top. But the floor at concerts that's like 1,000 whatever. That's a nice chunk of
makes up for what's behind the stage, what they don't put up.
Yeah, we got
look at that
there.
Yeah, for me in 105, it was not a concert. I mean, I love sitting, like the Warner or elsewhere, sitting close so I can see them interact and see their expressions on stage. I couldn't do that last night from 105. But
hey, I was in 105 too.
Were you? Nice.
Yeah. Row 3.
It was just a concert to listen to, and I thought the sound, they filled the Garden very nicely with the sound. I thought that was well done.
They had it so dialed in. You're 100% Rich on that. I mean, I had heard that the sound quality at TD Garden was top notch. Not surprising, right? With Bobby Tiss and the whole engineer team, sound team, and you would expect that at the Garden. But my buddies, we couldn't believe how crisp and amazing the audio really was from wherever you were.
You could understand the vocals very easily, which can be difficult.
They had it all dialed in.
So I feel like it took them a couple of songs though to figure it out a little bit. Like that, to me, initially it felt like you normally, when you're in like Warner or whatever, you don't feel the space in the room. Obviously it's much more, like 3,000 people and everyone's on top of each other. In MSG initially it felt like, oh, this is a big space for sure for this band. And then I started getting into the festival mode a little bit more. Like it is more like a festival show than
exactly. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It sounded great just from listening to fan recordings on my end and on the MixLR app. It sounded like super crisp, like you guys were describing. Like I couldn't even really tell the difference between listening to a theater show and then maybe an arena show. Then maybe like I guess the crowd could be popping. Well, I got to go back and listen to 1,000 more times to all this, but like I think maybe the drums have a little bit of a different sound in an arena. Maybe we'll get into all of that stuff. I want to look at the poster real quick.
Oh my god,
awesome!
Yeah. This poster on the foil, man,
beautiful. It was beautifully done.
Yeah,
florally mushroomy poster.
I was like, yeah, doors open. I need to be there because I got to get that foil.
I got there late. I didn't have time. I'm hoping I can go pick one up somewhere.
Man, I think this is probably one of their poster game is on another level now.
It is.
Yeah, I need to more walls. I need to. I want to get like. I'd love to have like 8x10s or something and then have them everywhere. But I'm gonna read this real quick. After several years of creating promo flyers for friends and local venues, Nathaniel Dees designed his first official gig poster in 2010. In 2016, he quit his day job in order to become a full-time poster artist, utilizing a hand-drawn psychedelic style. Yeah, super unique. Even the font on this and the font on the venue, something about that is super unique. Throwbacky, but also very beautiful.
It definitely evokes some thoughts of the Allman Brothers with the mushrooms up there in the foreground. It's very kind of Allman Brothers-esque to me.
Yeah, I mean MSG is right there, but it's also subtle. It's and man, the foil in person looks just
really great.
Yeah, I'm studying it right now. Great for the audio listeners, but yeah, it is a beautiful poster, certainly. And you know what I think about? I mean, we'll get into when we want to get into the venue. Here's a good shot of Brandon, and you can't see it so much on this image of Brandon, although it's a great shot of him. Is the ceiling of MSG is something that I find particularly iconic and something that we associate with that venue, and we don't even really think about it. I feel like, but it's really just a unique design, and that really stands out. And I think that's something that's really, for the most part, from what I understand, stood the test of time, as the Garden has obviously gone under somewhat, various makeovers over the year. I watched some YouTube video. There's been even more versions of Madison Square Garden than you might imagine, more than like 2 or 3 renovations. There's been a couple of different, maybe even structures, but there's a whole interesting history with that place. But that ceiling is something especially iconic, I think.
Really makes a smaller room. I think it really improves the acoustics on that big old thing is up there. I think it really helps the sound.
I don't want to get too far ahead of it, but you got Brandon up there. He had a moment towards the end of the show.
Yeah,
he did. That was kind of cool.
Derek generously gave him some space to stretch out a little bit, which isn't something you see too often, really.
Not at all. And it felt like Derek was in that mood towards the end where he was like, would randomly just be like, all right, drums go. And
you know what it is, maybe? I feel like he's such a great band leader, Derek, and he can feel whether there's an imbalance of some kind in the set list. Oh, this person hasn't shined enough. That person hasn't shined enough. We need to get a little more of this before the end of the show. And it is possible, because even my ear, and I talk about how people's ears tend to gravitate towards different elements of the band, be it the vocals or of course Derek's slide or something like that, guitar, or on the lower end and the rhythm section, of course. But I think it's perhaps not easy, but it can happen where it's like, oh, we forgot about Brandon. So I do feel like he gets his moments a lot of the time. They're in the second half towards the end of show, and it's probably Derek just feeling in the moment, like, let's not forget him.
He's always been very fair, very equitable, so I think he was just kind of feeling that.
You just don't hear too many bass solos in TTB,
Not every night or every other show, maybe.
Yeah,
at least.
Hey, I have a question. What happened to Derek at the end? He was down on one knee playing guitar. Did his guitar break?
Yeah, something happened weird. Maybe a cable thing. I couldn't tell.
He sat. Adam, I don't know if you probably didn't catch this, but yeah, he sat down. He actually had a chair and he was sitting for Soul Sweet Song.
Okay.
But he got back up for the Sly medley.
Yeah. Oh man.
So not crazy. Sure. Maybe he was just. Somebody else asked me that. I thought, well, maybe he was just a little tired. It was a long show. He wanted to rest his legs. I don't know.
It is possible.
I couldn't tell if it seemed like a guitar issue to me, because I saw Bobby was running around a bunch yesterday, and maybe like theaters hide that stuff better than MSG, where you don't get to see it so much. But he came running as soon as Derek went to his amp, and that intro was long. Like they played maybe 4 or 5 extra bars before Derek's.
He did play a long intro for that. It was interesting. It was kind of cool though. It's different.
Yeah,
it was.
We got a comment here from David who responded to us saying his strap broke.
Oh, that makes sense.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect sense. Yep. Okay.
Tired? He doesn't get tired.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. I stand corrected.
I'm going to read
a lead issue or something.
Yeah, I'll read the set list here for the people listening, and then we'll just dive into it and you guys talk about. Well, I listened to the whole. It's funny because I wasn't there, but I feel like I was. Anyhow, playing with my emotions, ain't that something? Part of me, Heartbreaker, I am the moon, Pasquan. Have a little faith and you wreck me with Nora Jones, Midnight Harlem, Made Up Mine, I Want More, Beck's Bolero, Angel, Sugary, The Seeker, Bell Bottom Blues, Layla, all with Trey. And Song for You with Lucas Nelson, Soul Sweet Song, and then Sly medley as well. And we'll get into that with Trey and Lucas Nelson. We can start anywhere. The You Wreck Me is quite something.
How would you feel about if we started with Lucas Nelson opening for them for a sec?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that was interesting to me because it was 7:30 Lucas Nelson, 9 p.m. TTB was the time. MSG was less than half full at 7:30. So Lucas Nelson then came on, and I don't know if you guys felt this way too. It was kind of a little bit like, whoa, like there's not a lot of people in here. How are they going to do this? And they came on. They obviously they're just great. Lucas Nelson and Pumps of the Real are fantastic.
They did. I mean, that guy can sing and play.
I love his voice.
What a voice! And he
sounds like a young Willie. He sounds so much like a young Willie.
I was going to say something like that. It's like a
And he can shred on the guitar, and he was going at it. But I think they were a little bit like, not a lot of people. What's going on? Is it like? And that's when I was worrying about the travel. Maybe a lot of people couldn't make it. What's going to happen? Is it going to be full? And then like they did like kind of like an encore pretty early, like 40 minutes into their set.
Yeah, we've got some more. Play a couple
and then
more.
And then they were like, well, actually, they told us we finished a little early. Can we play a few more songs? And then they finished their full set. So it was interesting to me, and I think people who weren't there for that full set missed out.
Like me, I missed it. Unfortunately, I was bummed. We were trying to get there for it. I really wanted to, and people had told us not to miss it, but we were just the way our logistics worked out with dinner and everything. We just couldn't quite do it. We got in there for his last couple of songs, so we did.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Fortunately, caught a few of them, but. Yeah,
I did stream it last night, so it's up. It's on my Mixler account.
Oh, it's still up.
Check it out.
Nice.
Oh, Lucas is set. Yeah,
I did that. I kind of made a mistake. I was low on battery. I should have just blown off Lucas and just recorded, just stream TTB. But I was trying to get the whole thing. So it's up on my username is rbarnyard on Mixler. So check it out. It's up. It's been recorded and it's published. So check it out.
Great.
We did have Alex Leary, I think, or no, was it?
Yeah,
I think it was Alex. I know we recorded he's on Mixlr,
Yeah.
and Mama D, whoever runs that account, I think is
Mama
another
D.
one on there. Much love to all you guys. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, keep
Real
it
quick,
up.
Alex Leary, he's a DC guy I know, and I think he streams so many shows. I think he uses pretty high quality equipment. I think his audio quality is always very, very good.
I mean, my audio stream is a nice little Shure microphone plugged into my iPhone, and that's how I stream. Alex's gear is much, much better than mine, which is maybe the sound quality is better.
That's what I need to do. Maybe I could get a microphone and figure out how to get it connected right to my phone and do some more in the field podcasting and reporting. Yeah, I mean, it's a little Shure. I think it's M77 or something like that. And it's $150. It's a nice little thing, but the sound quality is not like a Schoeps or a high end kind of microphone. What else we got on? Yeah, what else we got on Luke? Anything else on Lucas Nelson?
I was just gonna say by the time they finished, they really got the crowd ready for TTB, and then you get your little 20-minute set breakdown and get ready for TTB. By the time TTB came on, I think people were ready. I mean, everyone was. During Lucas, I mean, a couple of times I felt like I was in Texas. Some of that music was Texas swing. Yeah. So. Yeah, he's really doing interesting stuff with his music. It's so country, but like that guitar is just so rock as well. Yeah, it's fantastic. Rock, blues, and soul really infused into it. Is that how you would? Yeah, but like you can't get away from the country. Like it's like that voice, Yeah.
Yeah, it's grounded. It's grounded in country, and then it's got the aspects of blues and rock and even a little kind of R&B in there sometimes. So it's that's good. It was awesome. Good opener.
All right, shall we
I'll
get
just
into?
Say,
go.
Walking in, like I just wanted to give you kind of a perspective that I had and felt walking into Madison Square Garden, and it almost felt surreal. I mean, I don't know how about you guys, Jay and Rich, but when I walked in there after having first started seeing these guys at the Warner and other small venues of, at most 3,000 people, to walk in there and then have these guys take the stage and you're looking around, and this is Madison Square Garden, arguably the most iconic music arena, perhaps venue that we have right in the country. And to look around and see that they had actually filled the place, man, it's like sent chills up my spine. Like it was just really a moment. And
kind of made your papa proud.
Yeah, it was like, wow, it's so cool for these guys to have their moment in New York City at Madison Square Garden, the mecca of live music. It's like they finally got to the mountaintop. It was awesome.
It's more than the mecca of live music. It's the mecca for really American sports, American events, rather. I was going to say, boxing, music,
the world's most
hockey,
famous
basketball.
Arena.
Yeah, it's the arena.
Right? World's most famous arena. It was something.
It's interesting because I certainly was going into it not necessarily knowing what to expect. You just don't know TTB at MSG, what's that going to be like. And I was talking to everyone, and people were like, yeah, I don't know. I like the theaters, but it's going to be great. It's always TTB, and everyone had that little bit of like, what do we expect here? Like, how is this going to go? Because you're looking, like you said, you're looking around. It's like 16,000 people. It's a lot.
I could see there being a little bit of like, even like that nervousness, because we all kind of think, not as the band does, but we're kind of very in tune with it. So having that sort of nervousness, especially for all you guys who are like veterans of TTB, walking into a place like you've all been to, whatever the Warner or the Beacon or whatever your most home venue is a million times, and you almost like know what to expect, and that's kind of like part of the excitement because you know how awesome it's going to be. But this is a little bit different, where it's like, how's it going to sound? How's it going to look? Is there going to be enough people? And then the weather on top of it. So like, I could definitely envision a little bit of that nervous energy, like, because the band and the fans are pretty in tune with one another and what's going on. Like, so we feel that and feed off of them and them us and vice versa. Like, but,
absolutely. Yeah. And then I was like just for the fun of it, I was sort of tossing some ideas around as far as what they were going to open with some buddies, and they tend to. I feel like for big shows, like big meaningful shows, like some shows at the Beacon that they've played and others, I feel like Anyhow has always been kind of a song that it's a great, opener. It just gets the
tone setter.
That voice when she comes in with at the beginning, the solo vocal. So I was thinking, and I told a couple friends I thought that was going to be the opener, and kind of nailed it. So that was kind of cool to hear that. And then it was just like chilling. Like they got the adrenaline going with Anyhow. Like that was, I feel like it was the perfect opener for them.
Yeah. Got the crowd going.
Yeah,
definitely. That set the tone.
Yeah, I'll let you guys can steer the conversation, and I'll jump in here and there, and you can talk about what jumped out at you. I pretty much heard everything.
So the way that it worked out for me, so initially, Anyhow, I was like, okay, great, classic TTB opening we're gonna get, and like I said, everyone was trying to figure out how this is gonna go. It's garden parties, right? It's like Tedeschi Trucks Band, but it's garden parties, the friends, one of the people gonna come on stage. So everyone had that in the back of their mind of how is this stuff gonna go. But they open, pretty straight down the line TTB stuff. Anyhow, it gets everyone going, lets a little bit of the energy out. Then they go Playing With My Emotions, which starts off a little bit, less energy, and then they get into the guitar solos. And I think all of that was fantastic. To me, Passaquan was when it turned the corner for sure.
I'm going to bring in David here. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, David.
Hey.
Oh, we got a whole crew now.
Yeah.
Just in time to talk the set list. We were talking Anyhow in the first few songs, and Jay mentioned Passaquan. Jay, meet David, meet Rich, John. Some of you may already know each other.
Hi, David.
Hey, I saw you up on the big screen last night.
Yeah, somebody said they saw that early on. I missed it, didn't get a pick of it or anything, but definitely saw some people that I knew that they flashed up on there. That was pretty cool. If you, I guess, submitted some things online, and then they did some, I guess, for the people that paid for the garden party experience or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they put some people
it was
up there.
cool. I thought that was very cool that they did for Swamp Family members through the app. You could post a picture up to the to a thread on the chat boards in the app. They would
fan cam or whatever, right?
They said they were gonna put them up on the big screen in the garden, and I got distracted and didn't really see a whole lot of that, but I thought it was a cool idea.
Yeah, definitely was. John, I was with you. I actually pegged Anyhow as the opener as well.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I was kind of forced to make a pick, and I was like, man, I don't want to be wrong. I mean, there's so many good things they could open with. Don't Drift Away is one of my favorite openers.
Oh my God! If they had played that, it's been a long time.
Been a minute for that. Yeah, been a minute for that.
Yeah,
Stage Squirrel Blues. That's my favorite one. They started that. That really sets the tone.
Yeah.
But Anyhow gets Susan going. I mean, vocally, guitar-wise, and everything. It just that one's always moved me.
Yeah, that solo that they've created for her in there, the space that they've created Anyhow for her to just go out. I love that. I mean, it just kind of gets her going, like you said, and sort of sets the tone for the rest of the show and her guitar work.
Gets everybody warmed up.
I have to say, just kind of like piggybacking on what Jay was saying and sort of building on that a little bit. So, first part of the show was kind of, I think, what you probably would have expected if you knew this band pretty well, and going back and playing a few of the I Am the Moon songs. I kind of figured we'd get like a little bit of an I Am the Moon set. And then a little bit of old school. I mean, going back to Part of Me was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's always a crowd favorite and just a beautiful song. And then what was, I thought, pretty amazing was pulling out the Stones, the Heartbreaker.
Early.
Makes sense, for New York City. But man, I mean, I think that really blew some people away. I mean, that's something that they started doing fairly recently, I think, maybe within the last year. When they started playing that, but it hasn't it hasn't been like in the regular heavy rotation, I feel like, and I thought it was
Summer
perfect.
tour, maybe. I think
It started this summer in Jacksonville.
Yeah, maybe just the summer. Yeah.
When he said the first line, when he said New York City, the crowd went nuts.
Yeah.
And Mike kills the vocal on that. I mean,
Police
It's so
in New
good.
York City.
So good. Yeah, Heartbreaker was one of those where they were like, okay, we need to bring the energy. It's MSG, and they went out.
Yeah, they did.
I Am the Moon. Did you guys catch on I Am the Moon? Susan like forgot a few of starting of the verse.
Oh yes.
A little bit of a hitch. A little bit of a hitch there. Yeah, a little speed bump. But you know what? I said to my buddy, I was like, she just humanized the experience for everyone in the room. It's like, she's, they're professionals, but like nobody's perfect. And so, she missed one line. It was like, all right, well, she's human, it's cool.
Totally. I think they were figuring out some of that energy stuff initially too. Like it took them, a few songs to really figure out, all right, 16,000 people in MSG for us. What does it really mean? And as usual.
It definitely humanizes them and her and the band when there's, they show that they're not perfect. But I do wonder if maybe they were planning on recording or using this for something, because that is probably not ideal. But I can almost hear when Susan sometimes occasionally flubs a lyric or something. You almost hear sort of a refocusing of her and the band in the aftermath, and they almost like take it out on the music. Like,
they make up for it almost.
Like when the ref makes a bad call or something, or you make a mistake in sports, and then the next play you kind of like not give it extra, but maybe that is the case. Like I kind of hear it almost like vocally and in the way she sang the rest of the song, the power and the heartbreak and just really dove into the song itself. And of course, Derek complements that perfectly, and like every I Am the Moon solo is just better than
it's as usual. It's insane.
Getting back to forgotten lyrics, I have a date October 22nd, 22 in Oslo, Norway. I'm playing with my emotions. Derek does a killer solo, and Susan starts to sing, and she can't remember the lyrics. It's her song. And Derek goes through the song, and then Susan tries again, and she can't remember it. It's very charming. Go back on, and listen.
I think I heard this. I think this one happened to be one of the ones that was recorded. There were a few Europe shows that were recorded.
Back, but with a laugh, and it's just very charming. Go listen to it. It's really good.
Well, it's still a newer song on the set, and there's a lot of I Am the Moon songs, and like I've talked about how they were kind of like, as we learn to not love them, but learn to get to know the songs, let's say, like they are doing the same. They just have to play them also.
It's amazing.
How he does it. I mean, honestly, to memorize so many lyrics of so many. I mean, if you think about the canon of work, the body of music in there that they play,
150 to 200 songs.
Yeah. And to have to remember all those, and granted, if it's a newer song, she'll pull the music stand out. She'll have some lyrics in front, maybe, but like for the most part, no, she's memorizing all those. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Good song though. It's very charming.
I was going to go back to playing with my emotions was really good, and they were trading licks towards the end. As one of the guys said, it kind of heats up as it goes along, and I don't know if you caught it or not, but one of the things I love to see, Derek busted a string at the end of Playing with My Emotions. I mean, he was getting after it.
I was going to say his solo on that song was like, whoa. He took a song to a whole other level.
Yeah. And when he busts one, that usually means you're going to have a pretty darn good night, that he's working it pretty hard.
That's his quote. It's a good night when you're breaking strings.
Yeah. Yep. So he did really on Playing with My Emotions. Second song in, I was like, wow, this is going to be great.
Yeah. He's bringing it.
There's a lot of space to fill in that arena. You go a little extra hard. One other thing that was throwing me off early is they were putting the lights on the crowd a lot early in the show, and in a venue that big, it was like distracting me a little bit away from the band. And every so often they would just turn all the lights on and just have it on the stage, and that's when you would really get into it. It felt like, okay, yeah, we're at a TV show now.
I kind of liked when they would when they turned on some of the house lights a little bit, because you could look around and really see how many people were there, how full this place was. It was kind of cool to be able to do that and see everybody, all the sea of people out there. Yeah.
I had a great view of that guy. We were not on the floor. One of the first times we haven't been, fairly close, maybe the first 10 rows or so for a show. And being in an arena, when you go to a theater, you can't get a side view, right? So we were in 109. I mean, so we were like literally right at the front of the stage, off to the side. So I'm getting the cross view of Brandon, Susan, Derek, Gabe, all almost in a line. And it was really cool. And then I could look out and see the whole floor.
Yeah.
And it was full. Everybody was up. And I could see, throughout the crowd, people that I knew and where they were sitting and dancing and smiling. The whole crowd was, it was phenomenal. New York, I mean, I know going to a lot of Beacon shows, New York brings it. But the crowd last night was on top of their game. I mean, and it was a cool view from the side. It was the best look I've ever gotten at the drummers. And I took some video where even when Derek was wailing, I just focused in on the drummers, because you don't usually get, that type of view to see them. And boy, Adam, as you know, I always rave about the drummers, but the view I had last night, it elevated it even higher last night. So cool.
Have to agree. The energy in the room was unlike anything I've ever felt. I mean, it was like the Beacon on steroids, right? The energy was just so fun.
Yeah, from the get-go.
Yeah. But I know, Jai, you were saying before, when Lucas came out, it was, maybe half full, maybe not, but they were real into it. The crowd was real into it. And then I looked back, and I mean, it was pretty packed. I mean, it was impressive and so well deserved for them. It just could see how they were feeding off just a great crowd. The size, I think they were blown away by the size. Again, I think somewhere down the road, Susan said, we appreciate you guys, and we know how hard it was to get to the building tonight.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a chore, and some people I think didn't make it. Some people unfortunately couldn't get in. I think the ones maybe coming from the north side had a little more trouble, I think, than some of you. I was listening to you guys coming up, a little bit from the south side was a bit easier than some of the folks that were coming, a little bit south from the north there.
Yeah. The band definitely didn't take it for granted that they were playing in MSG. They were very much like, this is huge for us too.
And I think you felt that from the set list and just musically, the playing and the energy that they brought matched the energy in the room from the crowd. I mean, I'm still blown away by the set list. I was going to say the combination of the mix of covers, the covers that they chose to weave in to their own originals, I thought was perfect. I mean,
I love the
paying homage to Leon Russell, the Stones, I guess
John Hyatt, Tom Petty,
Tom Petty,
I mean,
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but boy, I mean, I kind of felt like there was one highlight from the Boston show, and I felt like there was like two things that kind of stole my heart on this New York set. So it was, but hearing them do the Seeker was, I mean, to me, that was kind of out of left field. I don't know where that came from.
Where it came from.
It's funny. Go ahead, Rich.
That came from the Seeker. I mean, I think I was Trey and Derek just saying, "Hey, let's do something different. Come on." Now.
Right.
Yeah.
They killed it.
Oh, so good. It's funny. I was sitting next to a couple from Long Island, and before the show, we were chatting, and they were telling me how they used to be the biggest Who fans. And then the Secret comes out, and they just look at me, and they're like, "Are you kidding? This is sick."
That's perfect.
Yeah. Well, and so Pasaquan, obviously fantastic. I thought the drummers did some different stuff in that solo too, which was interesting, a little bit newer. They took it a little bit slower and then in the beginning, and then we really got into it. But that's when the festival vibe really kicked in for me, because then Nora came on and everyone was like, okay, now it's the garden party. We're ready for it.
I mean, I have to say, I like Passaquan for its virtuosity and its musicality, but it doesn't really touch me like a good Dreams or a little, an Idle Wind or Midnight. It just doesn't have that blue feeling. I love the art. I love the power of it, but it doesn't really get me like those other songs. I have to say.
It will.
It's funny, Rich, when I see it on the set list and, after a show, and I'm like, okay, yeah. But every time I see it live, I feel it. And again, I feel it from, not just Derek, but the drums and Brandon on the bass.
Awesome.
And then Gabe on the keys. I mean, they just, every time I'm in the room and I hear it, I feel great about it. But when I see it on the set list and I'm not there, and I'm kind of like, but
it's just one
when
of
they
these...
do it, it's amazing.
It is. It's the art, but it's more like artifice than it is actual feeling for me. Let's put it that way.
I love it. I listen to it pretty much every single day, because I know if I need to do something that's going to take 15, 20 minutes, especially like maybe 25 minutes or so, like a getting ready in the morning kind of thing, it kind of like gets me going, and like it's part of my it's almost become like a meditation in some regard. But then there's always different moments throughout listening to it that especially catch my ear, be it Gabe, Derek. Of course, the drums is typically almost always, super special on that song. So, and every single one is different than the previous one. And there's so many live versions out there. And I think I've heard every single version of Passaquan that's been recorded live, either and been put up on archive.org or on YouTube. I'm pretty sure I've heard all of them, and it's just like, I don't know. I get the same feelings that I get listening to Mountain Jam and any of the Allman Brothers.
I was going to say, I think Passaquan is going to be remembered in the same way as a piece of music that Derek Trucks, an original piece of music that Derek wrote and performed in the same way that we think about Mountain Jam for the Allman Brothers
and Liz Reed,
and Liz Reed. Exactly. They're timeless, right? Yeah. And I think Passaquan will be timeless. I think you'll be able to go back and listen to that piece of music, 25, 30 years from now, and it will resonate.
You know what they need to do? They need to have at least, maybe this is more for Derek, but there needs to be another one. I talked about how I do hope that TTB, of course, records more original music and releases it, but also has instrumental compositions as well, like on future albums. I think that should be a part of what they do. If not on the next album, but if you're going to get the one after that, if we're going to get at least two more, I don't know. Right. I have no idea what the future has in store. But
they're riding a high. I wouldn't be surprised if they get back in the studio pretty soon, and they don't seem the type of musicians that are going to rest on their laurels, right? They're going to keep pushing.
No, but the question is, do they want to explore other avenues and other projects and side projects and solo projects? And that's understandable. But but given that it seems like there's going to be at the very least less touring next year, from what we all understand, that's more time to write and record. So chop.
I mean, this iteration of the band right now, they're so tight. I mean,
golden age. We're in a golden age, is the way I describe it, because the lineup is fixed. At least that's what it seems like.
Yeah,
they've got it dialed in. Yeah, it was. There were some moving pieces there for a little while when Tim left, and they brought in Brandon, and we lost Kofi, and and then we lost, and then they switched out.
JJ left.
Drummers, JJ, right? They brought in Isaac for JJ. That's right. But have to agree. I mean, they've got it dialed in right now. Their sound is as good as it's ever been, I feel like.
And it tells the story of the band a little bit too, from a lot of the loss that they've had and just processing the last few years in this world, and I think that's reflective in their music, certainly. Someone else was going to say something.
What struck me, I mean, we can go down through the whole set list, but just if we're calling out highlights, I have to say, I mean, I saw the band many times, as I'm sure some of the other guests have, with Kofi, and they love to honor their inspirations, right? And obviously Leon Russell was one of their big inspirations, and they tried to get him, or I guess did they for I guess they did bring him back for
Mad Dogs. Yeah,
Mad Dogs,
Mhm.
and then they for a while there, Susan and Kofi were doing a song for you, and it was in the rotation pretty heavily for a few. Then they kind of stopped doing it. She did it with Gabe a little bit when Gabe first joined the band, and then I feel like it kind of went away. I mean, that's not something you've heard for quite a while. So for them to pull that back out last night, and for her to do that as a duet with Lucas on the other vocals, kind of sounding like Leon Russell, channeling his Leon Russell, that was, for me, that was chilling. I thought it was absolutely beautiful.
It's like too heartbreaking to play, maybe for the band and for Susan. Like it's too emotional. There's certain things at the band, I think, certain songs that are almost like too emotional for them for whatever reason, and maybe that's part of why certain songs maybe don't get played as often or haven't gotten played as often. Be it Song for You, and the ending from Signs has never been played.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Well, something else I was thinking of as well that they almost like never. It'll come back.
I think A Song for You was a nod to Kofi last night. I think
Sure.
Not doing Idle Wind, that would have been, but I think A Song for You was probably a nod to Kofi because they've done it so much together.
Yeah, I mean,
and Soul Sweet
that
Song.
And Soul Sweet Song. So yeah,
right, exactly.
They,
yeah.
And I mean, I noticed, I believe that they only did 3 repeats from the first garden party, which were Midnight, Made Up Mind, and I Want More, and Beck's Bolero, the combo there were the only repeats. So when they went to I Am the Moon, they picked, different songs for both sets, which I thought was really cool. And it just, again, they've got, seen them do a 3-night run where they don't repeat anything. So, it's just, but it would, the Tom Petty, I've seen them do a couple of Tom Petty songs. They all
that was so
kill
good.
that. Anything they do with Tom Petty, and I thought Norah Jones was terrific. And, I mean, and I think Susan came out with a different outfit after Passaquan. So, she changed outfits about halfway through the show there.
The Garden was into Norah Jones. People were super excited when she came on.
By the way, you mentioned the outfits. I just want to comment. I mean, I don't think we want to forget that. Like, boy, the band looked super sharp.
Yeah.
Last night. I mean, they brought their best dress game, right, for the venue, for the occasion. And
Derek with his red
leather,
leather jacket.
Coat, and I mean, Ephraim was like sporting his sharp blue sport coat. I mean, I've never seen the band look better. It was awesome.
I liked Isaac's hat too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm staring at the set list, and it's just remind me of Midnight, Made Up Mind, I Want More, Angel, Seeker, Bell Bottom, Layla. That was, man, that part of the show was one after the other. It just seemed like they were not letting off the steam even a bit.
I could not believe we got a Layla. I mean, I thought they would never do that again from after Lock-In, and I'd missed out on it. But to hear that was freaking believable.
The thing
I thought.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, in thinking about what they were going to do with Trey, I feel like it made sense. I was thinking, all right, well, of course, with Lauren, they're going to do their Allman Brothers mini set, which of course makes perfect sense. And then what would they be doing with Trey? Well, Trey, they did the whole Layla thing, and Trey knows that material, obviously, and Derek and he had that very special recording that night together, and, which I have the vinyl of, and I play that all the time, by the way. But I was thinking, all right, well, maybe we'll get an Any Day, or we'll get a Keep On Growing, or maybe we'll get Bell Bottom Blues, which we
did get,
I think we did get, right? Was that but Layla was sort of like under the radar for me. I've forgotten. Yeah, but now once they did it and busted it out, I was like, this makes perfect sense, because it's such a an opus, such a, you know, and the two of them, the back and forth, the interplay on Layla was just mind blowing.
The other thing that caught me by surprise a little bit was Angel and Sugary. The crowd was so into that. When they transitioned into Sugary, everyone was singing.
Sing along.
Yeah.
You find out who the Deadheads are.
Yeah, the Deadheads.
Yeah.
Where
They were out.
Because the last time I saw them play that in North Carolina, they did not add the Sugary. It was just you know, Angel from Montgomery. So was hoping that they were going to go into it. And again, from where I was sitting, you could see the whole crowd on the floor singing. And I mean, it was definitely most welcomed by the crowd.
It was one of the biggest
crowd
pops
favorite.
of the night. Yeah,
Sure. That's always a crowd pleaser when they go into that Sugary. I mean, she's been doing that quite a while. Maybe even before. I think she might have done that put that mashup together during her solo career, if I'm not mistaken. But you're right, David. They don't always do it, and that was special.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. And then I my wife got her favorite encore, the Slam medley. I mean,
God,
it's just such a party, you know. It's just such a party. It's everybody having fun up there, you know. It's just, and when they go around with the vocals, you know, with Alicia and Mike and Mark and the falsetto, and I mean, it just, and then the drums and the horns. I mean, it's just such a party.
Yeah,
It was a great way to end it.
That was another one that was off my radar. I've heard them do that before, but I was thinking it was going to be either Space Captain or With a Little Help from My Friends. I thought it was really going to be With a Little Help from My Friends.
They don't do that. They don't do that often. That closed one of the Beacon shows that I went to. I think maybe the final song of the 2021 Beacon.
And that's why I thought they might reprise that, but the Sly medley was perfect. It's
party vibe. Go for the party vibe.
Yeah.
And it's their most party vibes song that they typically close. I mean, I guess Gilded Splinters is a tribal vibe. I would say that Sly medley is more of a party vibe. With a Little Help from My Friends is like more sing along, emotional, nostalgic vibe maybe. So there's all these different. Space Captain is maybe a little bit more like I get how you describe that, like spacey. It's also kind of a party type song, but it's more of the thematically like probably With a Little Help from My Friends, a let's all get along kind of like vibe, versus the Sly thing is like, let's get along, but we're gonna like party too.
It's MSG, it's the garden parties. Yeah,
they're all great closers, but I think this being a garden party, I thought they hit the nail on the head with that one to finish.
One thing we haven't spoken about is the Beacon announcements.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you guys when in the show did that happen, and someone could describe what that was exactly.
Yeah, there we go. Cat's out of the bag, man. Too many fans on Swamp Family, but it was 3/4 of the way in, maybe.
Yeah,
it came out of nowhere.
I think it was when they went off stage before the encore.
Right?
That's when on the big screens they popped up.
Yeah,
and I believe it said that the first people that are getting dibs are ones that had tickets to.
Yeah, they came to the show.
to Madison Square Garden show.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right? I missed that.
Yeah, they said 3 nights. They opened with 3 nights only.
Yeah,
you're gonna get pre-sale, and then they fade out, and then they show Beacon Theater. And then
the interesting thing is it's not going to be October. It's going to be February, March, which is
winter.
The time that the Warner run normally happens. So now I'm sort of begs the question, what's going to happen with the Warner run? Maybe.
And they're going to Australia end of March.
Yeah,
Alex Leary. Credit to Alex Leary and credit to TTB for the other pictures I was posting or sharing. Those were from the band. But yeah,
also that is close to my favorite run, which is the Ryman. So I wonder what's happening there. We'll have to stay tuned. But for me, I was walking out of there. I was thinking last night was the last thing I had on the, to look forward to. But now I see that right there. I'm looking. I'll be in the building those 3 nights, one way or another.
Feb 29th, March 1, March 2, the Beacon.
Hopefully 2 of them. Yeah. So how are they gonna? Do you think tickets they're gonna they're going to email out to people who were ticket holders for MSG.
Yeah, that's what they said.
I thought that's what the thing said. I thought that's what the screen said.
Those of you that are here will get access on Monday.
But we'll find out. So we'll see how it goes.
You have to pardon me. I'm cooking for my hungry wife, so I'm doing two things at once.
Yeah, but what are you making?
Burgers on the grill. Come on over.
There we
I'll
go.
be right there, Rich.
Good.
Hey, come on. That's
Yeah, you're all Maryland. So a few of you are.
What a night. I just want to I'm going to have to sign off here shortly, but I just want to add that I think I mentioned earlier I like up over 30. This hands down, after walking out of MSG last night, I told my buddies who all have seen him just a handful of times, I said this is the best show I've ever seen TTB play. Musically, set list, the sound, musically, the energy that they brought, the vibe, totally different vibe from the Beacon or the Warner or name your favorite arena show, Ryman. But in terms of the energy, the sound, and just the fun factor for me, it was number one.
I thought it was a great mix of covers and old stuff, new stuff, and some surprises. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Setlist was, I thought it was one of the more interesting set lists of the place for sure.
I can't. I had one of my friends tried to put me on the spot today to compare Boston and New York.
Oh,
I'm not going to do it. They were both unfreaking believable. I feel blessed to have been in the room both nights, and I'll leave it at that.
You all know that the best TTP show that you ever saw
was the one.
Right.
It's the next one.
Yep. So I guess the Madison Square Garden had to be the best. It was after Boston. So sorry, Boston. There you go.
Right. No, they were both awesome. I'm speaking as if I went, but I was not at either one. But I did listen to pretty much all of both of them at this point. And I guess one way, it's almost like I just want to dive back into all the songs at once, but certain things are jumping out at me more than others, perhaps from the garden parties. And of course, that's the Into the Mystic with Derek and Warren and the chemistry, but also Bell Bottom Blues. I really was happy to hear that in the set. I thought that was really one of the highlights of the lock-in with Trey was Bell Bottom Blues. It's just that hits me for sure. And Passaquan for me is something that's the Passaquan from MSG is going to be part of my getting ready routine probably on Monday morning or whatever. I could see that. And You Wreck Me and is certainly because I need TTB to be my exercise music too. It's this is really the background and the backdrop of and the soundtrack of my life, whether I'm cooking, whether I'm working out, whether I'm performing some kind of task or I'm able to listen to music at the same time. It's and sometimes I do want to choose a little bit oh, this is a time for Pasquan. This is a time to have a party perhaps. And then so there's, and it much the way, even pre-T, because this is obviously my favorite band currently, probably ever, obviously. But I would say the Stones for a long time were really up near the top for me. And part of the reason for that was because of their massive catalog, but also because of the diversity of their music that could really suit any mood or situation I'm in, whether I'm in a really, really dark place or I'm just hanging out with my friends and we're having a couple of drinks and we want to put on Exile on Main, whatever it is, there's always a song, an album, music to fall back on. I'm rambling. I appreciate all your times and for sharing your experiences with me. Is there anything else anyone wants to talk about or anything I should pull up or hear images?
I would just say I thought we were very fortunate that they played a little over 2.5 hours.
That long set.
Both nights. I mean, it went by too darn fast, but it was a lot of music. They packed a lot into the 2. And then you're thinking, we're talking a little bit about other songs, how vast their original catalog is, plus all their covers, that we only scratched the surface getting maybe a little under 40 songs between the two shows or 35 songs, whatever it was. There's so much out there that just can't wait to see them live again.
I was surprised that we got Passaquan, even though they didn't play in Boston, was because it's such a massive beast, and it's only five, six members on stage. And on an evening where they're on an evening where they have Trey and they have Nora and they have Lucas, like that's other people. So I was surprised to hear Passaquan, because you could take Passaquan and you could easily get 2-3 more different songs and fill in the your set list with the guest portions too. So like to get that was kind of like surprising. I was at the gym listening to the first half or so of the song of the show. So I was like, oh, this is a pretty upbeat. This is good for me. Anyhow, playing my emotions. Ain't that something? Part of me heartbreak. I was like, oh, this is a good start. And then like I was already warmed up by the time I'm the Moon hit, so I was able to power through about. No, all their music really is inspiring, and you'd be surprised. Like you could work out to just about any song. I'd probably have to take a break and sit down and listen to song for you. I might not be like going full on during that, something like that. But for the most part, like it's really like the band just kind of like carries you, and you feel like in tune with the music. They have your soul on a string is the way I've kind of described it over the years. But does anyone else have anything else you guys want to mention before I let you guys enjoy the rest of your evening?
Yeah, great night, man. Hopefully I'll see you guys in Beacon.
Yeah, it was nice to meet all you guys. Adam, thanks so much for inviting me to join. I loved very much enjoyed sharing my experience with you and hearing about everybody else's. I'm happy to do it again sometime, but it was an epic show. That's what I'll say. I mean, it'll be quite a while before we get another one quite like these garden parties and last night.
You know what I wanted to ask? I mean, this is more of a brainstorming thing, but I was curious, and I was thinking about like what other arenas could they do in a different city if they were going to do something like, is like Philly a thing, Chicago, like Toronto, like where could they fill like?
Wow. It would be those, yeah.
It could probably get them into outdoor stadiums. We can get a Soldier Field in Chicago or
Jerry
World,
Jerry World in Dallas.
Let's not.
Yeah, let's not quite.
Let's not.
I would just say it was so well deserved for the band to be able to play those two places, have a party, celebrate their music with their fans, and it was two perfect nights of music and fans.
Now. Let's bring them down to Baltimore. Let's bring them to Camden Yards.
Yeah. They got to do Pier 6 again. That would be fun.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, some of those like baseball stadium shows, it's not always about like filling every single seat and making it like to be Taylor Swift. Sometimes it's part of more of just like a summer concert like thing where they set up a stage, and it may not be 50,000. I don't know. Yeah, it might be fun.
Washington, D.C., the D.C., Northern Virginia, that whole area. I mean, there's a lot of TTB fans in that area. I mean, you've got 3 of them right here.
Yeah.
Those Warner shows, they have no problem selling out. Generally, those that Warner run where they do 6. They've been doing 6 shows over a 2-week span or whatever. I think that I could see potentially them maybe trying to play the arena in downtown DC where the Wizards and the Capitals play. Similar kind of thing. I could see that. I think they'd sell enough tickets for that.
I think we may see more. I think they passed the test.
Yeah, with flying colors. For sure.
Oh boy! On that note, thank you guys. I appreciate it. What time was it? 7 o'clock for you guys.
Yeah.
Go get some dinner if you haven't. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. And yes, any of you continue to reach out, stay in touch when you're going to future shows. I'm sure more dates are coming even beyond the Beacon shows. I'll see if I can get across the country for those. If not, I'll definitely recap them, of course. But thank you again, guys. And let's talk soon for sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for all you do, Adam.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks, Adam. Take care, everybody.
Later, guys. So there you go, episode 132, recapping TTB at the Garden Party shows, part 2 at MSG. Hope everyone is doing okay out there. please check out at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram. Please follow, subscribe on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. That's definitely appreciated. AdamChoit.com for all my personal stuff. Tedeschi Trucks Podcast.com for all things related to the show. Thank you to TTB, to the band, the musicians, the crew, Derek, Susan, Bobby, everybody, to Rich and David and Jay, and who else am I missing? And John. I really do appreciate your time and the recap. I feel like I was there. Thank you to Alex Leary and Mama D Radio and Rich also for streaming it on Mixler LR for me to listen to. I can't wait to dive back into. I'm probably going to do that as soon as I'm done with this live stream. I'm probably just going to listen to the music. I got to hear Into the Mystic from Boston. I'm still listening to Boston and Reading, to be honest with you. And you know what I wanted to hear? If anyone sent, I'm still looking for The Wait from Reading, a full version of that. I know there's been a clip, but if anyone record Reading, hit me up. I'd like to hear that. But I think that's about all I got for today. TedeschiTrucksBand.com, their official website. Definitely go there. Buy tickets to future shows. Join the Swamp Family Club. Download the app. It's just getting better and better, as this band is as well, somehow. But on that note, thank you again, everyone. I'm going to continue to put out more content and more episodes and get more people on, because a lot of people have a lot of stories that go way back with Susan and Derek that I'd like to hear. So even if the band is on a break, I'm going to try my best to not go on too long of one myself, if one on all at all. But I think I'm done rambling for today. But yeah, let's talk soon. Peace.